What's up, y'all? We are back again, the JetSet podcast. We are going to start our draft series today. A lot of people have been all over the place with the number 7 pick. What did they just do? We got it for you today. Let's lock in. Ready.
Ready,
Jet
jet
set.
set,
Go.
Go, 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 go. No to the mall.
Loud one down the right side at the goal line, leaving attempt. Oh, it's free call. Oh, it's a jet
Never too
touchdown.
nose. Pat my bags and go, 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 go. Serve me the brick at the stove. Looking like a track in the post. Go, 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 go. From the hills to the moon. Yeah, baby, yeah, we go like don't go. Yeah, in this world, everything's so more. Yeah, behind this wall, there is no photos. Jump on this bitch, go, yeah. Across my neck, yeah, go. Watch how you go, hey, yeah. Oh, Joe, I need some more, hey, yeah. Pronto. Jumped out the coupe with the
Away by Sauce Gardner.
smoking cookie in Atlanta, everywhere you want recreation. You already know we made it. We ain't even gotta say shit. Some of the trap was lit, some of the trap was vacant. Junior say I'll bring the pay out, bring the pay out.
What's up, y'all? We are back again each and every Wednesday. My name, Brent, aka Take Flight underscore today. Joining me each and every week, my dog Alan, aka nyjetsplanet. And it's draft season. It's mock draft season. You know, the one of the more exciting, I guess seasons of a Jets fan. If you're new here to Jets fandom, whether that be because Justin Fields or just because you just decided to make the bad decision of switching franchises, welcome. But yeah, it's draft season, and we're gonna start our draft series this week. Uh, Alan, how you feeling? Transitioning into this portion of the off season.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Um, the good thing is not too much has really happened in the past week, 2 weeks. So pretty much the same
Yeah,
way I've been feeling for the whole off season. I think the more I've seen in our signings, the more our strategy is kind of being displayed, which is I think we're just gonna keep getting a bunch of young guys and just let everybody compete for the most part.
yeah,
We've seen that in free agency, and honestly, now we've seen the contracts. I don't know if you've seen the contracts recently, but
yeah, yeah,
like with all the guys we've signed, it's all like 1 year, like low guaranteed money, with the ability to make like 1 million for the year. So I think Glenn's entire thing is look, we're gonna have people in here competing and people that are hungry because you don't know if you're gonna have your job this year because we can cut you like that if we want to, pretty much like kind of like that college
right,
culture a little bit. Like you don't know if you're gonna make the squad or not for the most part
yeah,
because
yeah,
we don't necessarily need you. It's one of
mhm,
those type of environments. And I think he's trying to build, and I think it's something that can be good for this team,
mhm,
especially because you have a lot of guys that are, I don't want to say too comfortable, but for the most part, they're too comfortable in a sense of
yeah,
like, like I think a lot of the guys that are just good, they just know that like, hey, I'm gonna be number one option. Like Garrett knows I'm gonna be number one receiver this year.
mhm,
Brees is looking at it probably like, oh, I know I'm number one back. We just gonna sit back and just kind of do what we need to do, collect our check at the end of the year.
yeah,
Uh, so I think it's let's get some guys in here and kind of push that a little bit. And maybe it
yeah,
might not affect Brees and Garrett as much, but I think Brees is definitely gonna feel it with
yeah,
Braylon behind him.
for
Um,
sure.
Depending on who we get in the draft, Garrett might feel it too. So I think I love the competition. So I think Glenn's doing a
Yeah,
good job. Well, Glenn and Moogie, let me say that.
yeah. One of his focal points when he was hired was that he was gonna make this uh, a place where guys were gonna compete. So he kept saying compete, and I mean, I'm glad, or I'm excited to go into this corner of the off season, just kind of, you know, it's really wide open with like at the seventh pick, right? Like we don't really know what we're gonna do. It's so many ways we can go. So it's very it's as far as like other drafts that we've been in, we kind of know where we're gonna go, but this one I feel like it's really wide open, so it makes for an exciting lead up to the draft, in these next 4 or 5 weeks. And each week we're gonna be dropping a mock draft. If y'all follow us on our socials, we're gonna be dropping a mock draft with other pages as well. So you guys can tap in and see who we think each week we're gonna draft. I feel like I'm kind of locked into who personally I want. I feel like Allen might be too, but you know, we'll see. I might switch it up every now and then, but for the most part, I'm kind of locked into like somebody, you know, uh, a certain player who I think we should get. But you never know. It's the Jets, so you never know. Right?
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. And
yeah. With
and,
that
and the
being,
great part about that, real quick, it's like when
mhm,
you pick seven, like there's just an uncertainty of the teams in front of you as well. Like I know
yeah,
everyone talks about, like, I guess I call it the big four because you got Cam Ward, Shadur Sanders, Abdul Carter, and then Travis Hunter. You kind of expect
hmm,
those to go top four, whichever order. But you even with that, you don't really know because I think there's
yeah,
a scenario where like Cam goes one, uh, Shador goes either two or three, and then Abdul Carter goes the opposite, leaving the Pats taking someone possibly like Will Campbell, because
yeah,
I know they're gonna want to help their guy in Drake May. Like maybe, it depends. It depends on if
hmm,
Travis Hunter's there for or not. I don't know if they feel a certain way about taking a defensive player this year. So I'm,
yeah,
I'm curious about how everything kind of shakes up. And we really don't know what I would say the Jaguars or the Raiders will take. It's all
yeah.
assumptions at this point.
Exactly. And it was news today that the Browns are trying to trade for Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Um, and then with Russell Wilson and Jameis being signed to the Giants, do the Giants go quarterback again in the draft? Does that push somebody down? Does that make somebody trade up? So it's it's getting spicy now. Four
Yeah, it's
weeks
definitely getting
out, four or
spicy.
5 weeks out. Yeah, 4 or 5 weeks out is getting a little spicy. All right, so. But yeah, like I said, we do a mock every week, and I guess we can start going to our mocks right now. Drop in the comments, who y'all think the Jets should draft at 7. Any players or sleepers that y'all like, get us hip. Talk to the people about it. Drop it in the comments. But yeah, I'm excited to get into these right now. I can't tell which one is whose because we kind of have the same pick. So I'll just
Yeah,
click.
yeah. I thought about that after. I was like, yeah, they just look the same. Just,
Yes,
just
I'll just click.
randomize it.
I'll just click the first one. There you go.
All right, that's me. All right.
Nice.
So I'm gonna start off with saying, obviously, as you guys can see, first pick I did go Tyler Warren.
Hey,
That was just that. Look, the board landed that way, and honestly, I've done. I used to be an O line guy, as in like I
yeah.
played O line. I love O linemen, and it's typically my first instinct. I do have quite some uncertainties about a lot of the guys in this draft. I think you have a lot of good potential, I would say, but there's just
Hmm.
none of those guys that are just like surefire.
Yeah.
And I think when you're drafting someone at 7, you want someone that's as surefire as there is. And obviously, you want somebody with the most elite potential, because getting someone average, you can find that in round 2 or 3. So if you're going to shoot for
Hmm.
someone average, do that in my opinion, do that in round 2 or 3. Especially unless you really, really need something. I think we
Yeah.
want a right tackle. I don't think we necessarily need it. Like we don't need an elite one day one. I
Yeah.
think we could live with an average one. So
Hmm.
I took a guy like Tyler Warren, who he has the size to be a really good blocker. I've seen some clips where he dominated his blocks, and there's some clips where maybe not so much. You want a little bit more from a guy his size, but every time I watch him, you just see like, and I think that's no matter who you take at 7, everyone in this draft specifically, there's no surefires, so you're getting the guy you feel has the most potential.
Mm-hmm.
I think Warren just has that all-around potential from the tight end position that makes taking a tight end at 7 worth it for the most part. I think he has the size to block well. He was an ex-quarterback. He could run the dang ball. He can do a little, like I've seen him a couple times where he does a little block and then he creeps out a little bit. He's not too bad of a route runner. Like he has a little bit of everything. And then on top of that, we have a really strong offensive staff that has worked with tight ends. Our offensive line coach was the Detroit Lions ex-tight end coach. Our offensive coordinator was the tight end coach before him for Detroit Lions. And then even our pass game coordinator, Scott Turner, he worked with Brock Bowers last year. So, they've all been around some really good tight ends and seen them develop. So I think, if there's any coaching staff in the league right now that would really go for that tight end, I think it would be this staff. And it's a big one. So I was like, you got to take a shot somewhere. I'll take a shot here.
Yeah, the stars kind of align with them. Like the stars kind of align with him. I don't know. I'm enamored, right? But it's it's whatever. But
and it is. I hear a lot of the noise. Like a lot of the noise, in my opinion, that people's concern is, oh, you just can't take a tight end top 10. I'm like, that's never gonna be my reason not take somebody.
No.
It's like, do I find someone else? Like, yes, there are people with more valuable positions, but are they better at that value position than the guy you have at that position? Like last year, the reason I wasn't necessarily on the Bowers train was because I thought they were elite, like day one great offensive tackle in that class, which it was. Joe Alt was great. Olu Fashanu was great when he played left tackle. Whenever you can get a guy that can be like really good to elite day one in a position of need, like left tackle, quarterback, etc. In my opinion, positional value does trench it. But in this case, I don't think there's anyone in this draft that I'm like, oh, like this guy is going to be elite day one. Like even Membo, I know a lot of people talk about him, but I see a lot of potential in tape. But a lot of times I'm like, I don't think he's as like day one ready as people are saying he is. I think he's a little bit of a project.
Yeah.
But that's all I'm going to say on it.
And I'm not opposed to a tight end first round either, man. I'm good. After I saw what Brock Bowers did last year, I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
If he's doing stuff like that in college, you might as well draft him. I'm all about football guys and unicorns, so I'm with you.
Yeah, and it's overall just a different league today than it's been in the past few years if we drafted in tight end. And also, this is a different tight end that we've seen drafted in the first round we've seen before. Like I think a lot of people are like, oh, remember when we had all that hype around Kyle Pitts? The issue with Kyle Pitts isn't necessarily his ability to tight end, it's just the fact that he can't block. So, you have to basically use him as like this big slot guy. You have to really have a certain offense for a guy like that. And I like Kyle Pitts. But if your offense does require some blocking out of the tight end position, he's not really the best fit for you. I think that's just what it is.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I'll go on real quick. I'll kind of go quicker on the next two because these are more day 2, day 3 guys. Kenneth Grant. I was actually surprised he was even there at pick 42. We did our mock draft on PFN. So when I saw him there, I was like, man, that's supposed to be like a mid-day 1 pick. We have an obvious need at defensive tackle, and he's like, if there was a guy I could pick as like number 2 to Quinnen, like he's exactly the guy I'd be looking for. So I couldn't pass on him. I will say I was looking for an offensive tackle at that spot. I think Josh Connerly was there, and I was just going back and forth like, ooh, that's a hard decision. Because I do like Josh Connerly. I do. Granted, do I know how he would fit day 1? No, but I was like, I'll take the chance. It is, even though it is a deep defensive tackle class, I really do like Kenneth Grant. So it's like I'm gonna take him.
He's a stud.
Yeah. I think he's great for the run game.
Yeah.
Xavier Restrepo. See this one, this one I took before he ran his 40.
Before his pro day, right? Yeah.
Yeah. This one was before his 40, so that's
Mm.
why he's on here, guys. Yeah. Honestly, like I can't speak for the 40. I can only speak for tape.
Yeah.
His tape was pretty darn decent. Like he just like there is something about like really elite players, and I'm not saying he's gonna be really elite, but like if you watch a lot of the really elite players, no matter who they are, no matter how fast they are, there's one thing that a lot of them are really good at, and that's just finding soft spots. Whether they're finding
Hmm.
soft spots in zone, or they know exactly like how to find a little soft spot in someone's man coverage.
Yeah.
And Xavier, he did a lot of that in Miami, and I think him and Cam had that connection right away with that. So, yeah, I saw him there round 3, and I said, "Crap!" Like again, looking for offensive tackle, saw him there. I do really like him as a possession receiver. I think he's a good wide receiver too to Garrett. Put him right there in the slot.
Yeah.
And you got him.
Solid.
Yeah, you got
Solid.
him.
Like a solid slot, like a solid, like
Yeah.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
plus like you'd expect him to be what option number 3 or 4, depending on how you feel about Lazard.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty good about that. I think he can kind of really fill that slot and give you some yards when you need it. When you need it, for the most part, and find those soft spots, especially in zone. Like his ability to find soft spots in zone is really, really good. I think that's really good for a guy like Justin Fields, who's still trying to come around to his game.
Yeah.
Ozzy, Ozzy's a really big boss, but he's a big dude. He has some right tackle experience. Yeah, like I like genuinely, and maybe it's just me, but I don't really think the tape was that far off between a guy like Ozzy than some of these first round guys. Like obviously, you're playing at Boston College. The talent you're playing isn't exactly there week to week, but for the most part, I thought he had some really good film. He has the size that you want. I think there is more flexibility I would want in his game. Like when I say flexible, like literally flexible. Like it felt like a lot of times he's kind of like stuck up when he's blocking. So I would hope that he can kind of. I say like some people like grow into their height, like not necessarily. Like he's been his height, but like actually feel more comfortable in his height and comfortable using his body. But the part I like about guys that necessarily aren't from like those big name schools is that they didn't really get the same type of trainers that a guy at like a Georgia would, where you're getting a great facility and great coaching. So some of those guys are a little bit raw, but also there's a lot of potential there to mold them into the NFL player you want. And, we got a new offensive line coach. I feel pretty good about him, so I think that's a good guy to stick there, and potentially start day 1. I think if you get a starter in round 4, you're doing really good in the draft.
Yeah, that's where I see a lot of like the goal for me in this draft is to like get somebody that's going to be playing meaningful minutes in these mid rounds. If we can find somebody like that, then that's a win for us.
Yeah, and Triple, in my opinion, he's that type of guy. At very worst, I think he's a good backup. I know like that's not what most Jets fans want to hear. A lot of them want starter day 1. I don't know if there's necessarily a starter day 1 on the right side that I'm like, I 100% know like this guy's going to be great day 1. I think every guy in this class kind of needs a little molding. So that's why I don't really feel too bad about taking a guy a little bit later, trying to see if you can mold him. Because like worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, you can kind of flip the board next year and throw in a guy that you feel a little bit more comfortable in the draft, rather than lock yourself in with a guy that you're not as comfortable with, and now you're stuck to him. Like you take a guy like Membu, and then like he doesn't do that great first year, and then you're trying to develop him, but like it's just taking time. Whereas you could have just took someone again next year, but you're locked in when you take someone first round. So that's just the thing. But I like Ozzy. I do.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll go over Dylan real quick, and then the other three, I'll just let you guys kind of see how I give a high level. Dylan is my guy right now. I
Your
like
guy.
he's a short dude. He's a short dude, and he's a lefty. But like outside of that, he's a baller, man. He
Mhm,
reminds me a lot of like Russell Wilson in a lot of
mhm.
ways coming out of
Yeah, that's a good
college.
comp. That's a
And
good
that's a
comp.
great, like, yeah. Like if he, like, granted, like I know the Russell Wilson today, you know, people have short term memory loss. You know, they forget like what
Mhm,
Russell did previous in his career. But I think Dylan has just the right head on his shoulders. Especially you
mhm.
give him a year to just sit behind Justin and then potentially even compete to start next year. I think that's what you're looking for when you don't get a guy day one, honestly. Even sometimes day one, but someone who can come in and could potentially compete. I know some people were talking about, and it was mostly Woody, but talking about like, do you keep Jordan Travis or not? I
Yeah,
think when you take a guy like Dylan Gabriel, it also gives you that ability to go just like, hey, let's put him and Jordan Travis, let's put them both out there in the preseason, and let's just honestly, just because they haven't seen any of them, so see how
yeah,
both of them
yeah.
do. And in worst case
Mhm.
scenario, you can cut the one or put the one you don't like as much on the practice squad. Like you have to put a fifth round draft pick on the practice squad, or God forbid he does get signed by another team. It
Yeah.
sucks, but it is what it is. Or
Mhm.
let's say they both prove a lot, and you want to keep them both. You got to figure that out roster wise, but it gives you that option for the most part in the case that Jordan Travis is a guy that a lot of Jets fans thought he was last year.
Yeah.
And I can say from a leadership example, I believe Dylan and Jordan Travis both have those qualities you would want from a leader. I think
Mhm.
that's probably the most important part in being a QB, like a QB that's actually leading a great team, especially with the
Yeah.
rookie coaching staff. So, yeah, he's been my guy, especially fifth round. I think that's perfect value. Um,
Yeah.
there are
For sure.
probably better guys in this class, but you're putting a lot more, a lot higher of a draft pick into them. So, I think for round five, it's pretty much of a steal. Just obviously, you wish you had a little more height on him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like Dylan Gabriel in the fifth, and the thing about like quarterbacks in college now, like I like quarterbacks that have played in big games and have played like those that like elite competition, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
after Zach Wilson, it's like I don't care about pro days and all that. I want to know who you've played against, what stages you've been on, and Dylan Gabriel definitely checks those boxes. As far as this competition and playing in big games, meaningful games, and playing well in those games. So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
and
Dylan
that's the
Gabriel.
big thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
That's the,
the
like, to
yeah.
me, that is the biggest thing. Like once you're put in those big games, how do you respond to them? Like I think you can
Mm-hmm.
tell a lot by QBs that they only play one ranked team a year, but that's the one game they do terrible. Even though you can
Right.
say, oh, but they have a better roster and everything, but I think like the really great ones, like they will never have like a really bad game just because they're playing good talent. Um, so
Yeah.
if that's a consistent trend, I typically try to stay away from those type of guys. But Dylan,
Mm-hmm.
especially at Oregon, they were for the most part the number one team in the country up until the playoffs, of course, where they
Yeah.
lost. But and then OSU eventually took over. But
Mm-hmm.
I really did. I like when I went back and watched. Like I really just watched Dylan Gabriel. Um, he's
Yeah.
got a nice little spin on the ball, and you could tell him. You could see him like reading through the defense, and I think he has a good head on his shoulder. I can't interview him, so I can't tell you for sure. But
Yeah.
just from what I can see, it looks like he knows what he's doing.
Mhm. And that's all you can really ask for from a
Yeah,
young guy, just somebody who has experience in college and just has just somebody who's been there, right? You don't want to
yeah,
have somebody that, and that's why I like having Justin Fields in our team too right now as well because it's he's playing those big games and like we've seen him on in Chicago like around in a bad situation just kind of take over. We I feel like we didn't see him run this much at OSU, but in the league, he's like unlocked at another level. So yeah, I like the quarterbacks that have played in big games.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, all those guys. But yeah,
Yeah, it
this is a
kind of
good.
like to me it
You know,
hires their floor a little bit,
yeah, for
because
sure.
the stage won't be too big for him, and especially it's cold in Oregon, so I know he's played some games in the cold, and that's also another thing to consider. Sometimes you get these guys, they grew up in Florida, they go to University of Miami, you try to throw them in New York, and like, oh, it's cold, and not all of
Yeah,
them can play in
yeah.
the cold.
Hmm.
But that's all I'll say there. And just lastly, the last three, I'm be honest, never watched them. Just elite names, elite names in positions of need. Jake
Elite.
Majors. That just sounds like an elite name. I don't know why, but it just
Uh,
sounds like you're going to be a
that's a good.
decent offensive tackle by your name.
Yeah, that's a good
Ja
one. That's a.
Jorner. I don't know what it is about Ja. Ja is just an elite name.
Yeah, no, that's
And he
crazy.
went to
Yeah.
Minnesota. So
Uh
I was like, all right, cool. Maxon Hook, good enough for me. I
Yeah.
needed a safety at some point.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
was the Hook part that got me. I'm not gonna lie. I never watched
The
him.
hook.
Never watched a game in Toledo. But if he comes out elite, I'm definitely taking all the credit.
Yeah, yeah. Max and Hook. Yeah, I mean, he has swag too. He got the hair and everything.
Yeah,
So
right. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he's got the swag for sure. But
Yeah. Sometimes
but
you
yeah,
gotta go
no,
off a straight swag.
yeah. That's yeah. And that's gonna be my criteria for the last two picks as well going forward. Just if your name sounds good, you're drafted on my mock.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. But no, yeah, this is a good mock though. It's a good mock though for sure. Um,
Yeah, I'm happy
we
with it.
got yeah, yeah. We got Johnny in the comments saying if you get rid of Quincy, I'll be tight. I agree.
I agree
That's
too.
been going around. That's been going around that Quincy might be on the chopping block, and he's due for uh, a raise, which he is. He's only getting paid 6 mil right now per year. He's definitely due for that. I hope we can, work something out to where he can, you know, uh, get a raise, maybe double that, maybe the same as Sherwood. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping he's able to. Hoping he's able to stay. I'm hoping Muji kind of uh, stays true on his word as far as like keeping the band together. So that's what I'm banking on when it comes to that, for sure. Yeah, yeah, we'd all be tight. We'd all be tight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I know I'd be tight because especially because like I think it's just the splitting up the Quincy and Quinton brothers. You
Yeah,
get them together, they play at an elite level, and then you take them apart. That just would be sad. That's a sad thing to see.
yeah, yeah.
So
Jets 2
I want to see
versus the
them both
Patriots.
be a part of a winning team. And
Yeah, yeah.
I think honestly we could be sneaky this year. We could be very sneaky.
Yeah, and that's where I want us to kind of fly under the radar, and just
Yeah,
because we've gone to the last two seasons with these high expectations, and it's like, like we always, so yeah, Jets 2-0 this year versus the Patriots. Yeah, I'm gonna say that every year.
yeah. Honestly, I said it on Instagram. I hate every move the Patriots have done this offseason. Like I think outside of like the Vabro hiring, like I think that's probably the only good
Yeah.
move they've done all offseason. They definitely
Hmm.
have like they got a lot of players. They just got them all past their prime, and they're paying them a lot of money to be there. Like they just paid what Stephon Diggs how much? 23 million a year, coming off
Yeah,
ACL, and he's 32 years old. Oh my gosh!
yeah,
Like I
nah,
was like, that's one
that's a
heck
little
of
bit
a
of a that's a reach, man. But they're trying to surround the young, quarterback with the receiver, and
yeah. I get it.
you know, yeah, it's like all right, I guess, and yeah, but we still have Sauce Garner, so he's getting locked down anyway. They need to sign about two other receivers. They need to sign about two other receivers if they want to have a chance with
Yeah,
that there, against us. But
yeah.
but yeah, yeah, we'll see how that goes though. Uh, Ninja is this is Kyle. He's a Steelers fan.
He's still this one. Okay.
He's telling us he's who we had on our show one of the first few weeks last year before
Yep, yep,
we or
yep,
after
yep,
we
yep, yep,
yeah,
yep, yep.
after the Devontae
Yeah, I
trade.
remember.
Yeah, so, but yeah, y'all gonna
But
you're gonna be with A Rod, so y'all
I
gonna be
don't
stuck with A
know.
Rod
They
this
don't
season.
even
That's what
know
it's
if they
looking
have
like.
A Rod though.
I mean, he's kind of stuck in the corner right now. If he wants to play, that's looking like the only spot he'll kind of go.
I'm not gonna lie,
Right.
it'd be embarrassing if he just retired.
That would send Pittsburgh into panic mode. They probably trade up for sure.
They'd
They
probably
probably
trade
trade
him for
up,
Jackson Dart.
yeah, something, or like let Dart slips in them, and then can he pick it all over again,
They'd
or
probably trade up for
next
Jackson
big
Dart
event?
because I think the Saints are a sneaky team to take Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I think they're
They pick
definitely in the
nine.
market for a quarterback.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pick
that would be.
nine. You got Derek Carr. I don't think they feel as strongly about him. I could see
I
it.
wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind trading back with the Saints to like for them to get Dart. Um
Mhm.
uh because we have a lot of Dart smoke right now. It's like every time I get on my phone, I see it. I'm just like like this Jackson Dart smoke is a little is getting a little worn out. But I understand it because hey, maybe we want to trade back like a few spots and still get our guy. So um, but yeah, um, while let me see, let me pull up my mock and just talk about it as we talk about these other topics in the background. Let me see. Boom, not much of a change as y'all can see because we're both in on Tyler Warren. That's
Yeah,
that's who that's who a lot of the people are talking about in the comments. Tyler Warren, just one word that I was uh, referring to Allen about with him is that he's a unicorn, right? He played high school quarterback. You see him at Penn State taking direct snaps, jumping over the line of scrimmage for the touchdowns, and you know taking it 50 yards to the crib. Allen mentioned he could be our running back two. Tight end one and quarterback three. Like it's really the playbook becomes even more open. I feel like, and when you give Justin Fields a weapon like Tyler Warren, it's like okay, wow, all right. It's because Justin Fields and Cole Kmet kind of got into a rhythm towards the end of his tenure in Chicago. So
yeah,
uh Tyler Warren on his team, man, that would be kind of crazy. Like
yeah,
that would look crazy. You know, people say, Garrett needs another receiver, in the offense with him. Well, Tyler Warren is a receiver, and he just might have linebackers covering him instead of corners, right? And that's a mismatch. Right? So,
and in the
yeah,
long run, he'd be cheaper too, so it'd be easier to
and
keep him
exactly,
over a receiver.
exactly, exactly. Like having to pay a tight end compared to having to pay a receiver is it's light years, in between each
Yeah.
other. Um, Y'all don't listen to Ninja. All right, he's just trying to
That's
rile
dope.
y'all up, man.
That's
He's just trying
funny.
to rile y'all up. That's all he doing. He's just trying
Isn't
to rile
TJ
y'all
Watt
up.
like 30 now?
I don't know. He's like 30, like 32. I don't know.
I know he's in his
30?
30s now, so I don't know why
Yeah,
you would trade guys in
yeah,
a rookie contract for a guy that's near the end of his career.
yeah. Nah, he knows what he's doing. Um, but yeah, Johnny, I didn't see us taking the tight end at 7 at first either. Until I was watching him, and I'm like, you know what? He's more than a tight end. He's a playmaker. He's a literal baller. Like he's not just a you know block and pop tight end, right? He literally block pops, stiff arm, run over, hurdle, uh, direct snap at the goal line. He can really be like he has top five tight end in the league potential, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Um, so I mean, I don't know. I feel like he's that unicorn that we've been looking for on offense, right? Because I
Yeah,
mean, Garrett, yeah, Garrett is that unicorn as well for us. But since then, we've needed that other unicorn in our offense, and Tyler Warren, I feel like would open up a lot of stuff like for us. So yeah, I mean, look, trick plays, put Tyler Warren back there at quarterback. It's so much we can do. It's so much room for activities with Tyler Warren. So
yeah.
but yeah, no. That's
And we
the pick
honestly,
that I'm yeah.
yeah, just to add to that too, I was thinking about it. Like, it's just not the same. Like, everyone keeps saying, like, oh, at seven, at seven, at seven. It's not the same draft class as it's been the past few years. Like, the past few years, like, I would say for the most part, we knew who the top five picks were already. And then you kind of knew the next five for the most part. This draft class, it's like everyone, there's no one that are just like, oh, yeah, you got to take him here. If
Mhm.
you're ready to take best player available, gotta take this guy. I think there are enough questions about anyone that's probably going to be available because you can
Yeah.
already assume Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter are going to be gone. And after that, it is really just wide open.
Yeah, yeah. It is. And no, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of good tight ends, right? There are a lot of serviceable tight ends that are in the later rounds that can be drafted. But if we're talking about somebody who can kind of uh like in that group who's like the one that stands out is like the unicorn, then that's to me that's Tyler Warren. And I rather draft the unicorn than to add on another and like I hate to say it, but like another Jeremy Ruckert, right? Like another like just regular you know pop block and pop tight end. Like no, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, we have two on the roster right now with Ruckert and then Stone Smart. Stone Smart, he might be a sleeper. He's like one of those big wide receivers type of guys. He can also block too. So, um, but yeah, like that's what we're looking for. We're looking for somebody who can be like a really big playmaker in the offense. Uh, so yeah, we'll see how it goes. But Tyler Warren's my lock at 7. I'm gonna try and do other mocks with like other people, but in my heart of hearts, this is where I want to be. Right. So. Uh, but yeah, Brittany. Yeah, Warren is that unicorn that we need. So yeah, we'll see. And then, but yeah, second round, I went offensive tackle, Cam Williams.
That's a
Texas
good
had a
one.
pretty good O line. Yeah, yeah. Texas had a pretty good O line, and he's a mauler. I feel like he's one of those bigger offensive tackles and stout. One of those stronger guys. So and somebody we could take a flyer on and possibly compete for a starting job for sure, right? So, um, but yeah, Cam Williams, he's a. I remember watching him when Texas played, or I looked at highlights when Texas played Ohio State, and he was all right. Like he wasn't like letting too much up, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I like his grades, so he's cool with me at 2. In the third round, Denzel Burke, a cornerback. Now, I was getting a little flack for this because we're like we just signed a corner, while we get a cornerback. Um, Behind Sauce and Stevens, we have Stiggers and JBC. I mean, Denzel Burke. I feel like it's kind of a hit or miss with these Ohio State corners, right? Like if he went to LSU, I would be like, all in. But uh, I trust AG with developing cornerbacks and like anybody in the secondary. So, and Denzel Burke, he's had great seasons at Ohio State, played in big games, and he's made plays too. He definitely got burnt, which I feel like all you know corners get burned at some point, but I like Denzel Burke uh, in this kind of scheme or in this group of like people that we have in our secondary room, which isn't really full right now. Our secondary room isn't that full, so I like him being in there. And then Billy Bowman, he's a sleeper to me. A lot of Oklahoma fans like Billy, and I don't know. He's like one of those downhill make a play safeties. Uh, a lot of people that I've asked about him, Like they've told me that like he's very much of a sleeper, right? So, uh, yeah, definitely rocking with Billy Bowman. He's one of those guys that can kind of like a Tyrann Matthew, Honey Badger type of deal. And then the last one I'm gonna really, or actually I'm gonna go into one more after Kyle McCord, but McCord, Syracuse Jet fan, you know, played in big games, kinda, against like Cam Ward, teams of that nature. But he has that moxie. But him being a Jet fan, okay, you know what I'm saying. That's I always invite Jet fans or like kids that are Jet fans on the team because it's like if you're a Jet fan and like you have always dreamt about playing for the Jets, then you're kind of like what we need, right? Or we kind of want that type of mindset on this team. So I'm cool with Kyle McCord. Great arm. Reminds me
Yeah,
of like a reminds me of a little. It's hard to think of a comp, but like if I had to think of one, it would be Baker.
you're gonna hate
But
my comp.
who's your comp for McCord?
Like coming out of college, he reminds me a lot of like a Zach Wilson, and I don't say that in a bad way. Like I'm talking
No,
about Zach Wilson coming out of college. I
right,
think the
right.
issue, like again, and it goes back to it's almost like a redo with a Zach Wilson
Hmm.
because I think Zach had a lot of raw potential, but coming out of
Hmm.
BYU, we kind of just threw him into the fire, especially out of all places in New York, we just threw him into the fire, and I don't think he could handle everything for the most part. I think that was the biggest issue. I think you get a
Hmm.
guy like Kyle McCord, he sits behind Justin Fields. There's no pressure on him to start right away, and he can kind of just be in the background. I think that always just helps any
Yeah.
sort of guy, but I think it'll help him
Hmm.
specifically. And then you'll
Yeah.
kind of see like what he is year 2, year 3,
Hmm.
and you kind of hope he takes that next leap. But I honestly
Yeah.
I never hated him, like especially round 5. I think that's pretty good value.
Yeah. Yeah. And he doesn't have to move much, like and it was articles on him
Yeah,
like it was articles on him with the whole Mark Sanchez and like his glory times as an NFL fan. We're watching the Jets going to back-to-back FC championships, so that's cool. Like so. Um, if you want to stay with the drafting the Jet fans, um, Jet player fans, then I'm all cool with Kyle McCord.
who
And
else do
yeah,
we have
so
besides Rucker?
Cisco.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I do that.
yeah, yeah. Like I'm cool with bringing in guys that have that are Jet fans on the team because like they're playing for something, right?
Yeah,
Um,
and then we got an
we-
ex-player as a coach.
yeah, yeah. It's all kind of it feels like a family, right?
Yeah,
We're sort of trying to build our own family here, but yeah, no, McCord, he's cool with me. 5th round flyer, whatever, right? Riley Mills, defensive tackle,
that's a really good
solid.
one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's solid. I remember watching him in the championship game. He
Champion.
was
Yeah,
yeah, he's a captain or he was a captain for Notre Dame. And you want guys like that who are, have that leadership, those leadership qualities. So yeah, no, he's solid for me. And we do still have Leonard Taylor. We have what was the other guy? The edge, Braden, Braden something.
oh, McGregor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. McGregor.
But
Yeah,
McGregor
so
is on the edge. We just signed a few D
yeah,
tackles too, and we have Quinnen.
yeah, yeah. And we got 92. So yeah, I mean, adding a young rookie defensive tackle to that room, I'm cool with
Yeah,
that. But the big one that I like on this list, and I don't know how we slipped that far, was Dante Thornton. 6'5", 4'3". A lot of
yeah,
fans like Dante. A lot of fans like Dante, so it's like I had to choose him here, but I was watching some of his tape, and I was like, wow, he's really a burner, right? He really has that. He really has that like speed. He has the hands. He has the breakaway, speed as well. So it's like, okay, you can really be one of those guys that kind of surprises some people late in the rounds. and people. I don't know why people are sleeping on him. Man, it might be something off the field. I'm not sure, but I trust AG and the staff with anybody that has any off, off the field issues. Yeah. So
Yeah. And to your
yeah,
point, real
Dante.
quick, like Dante Thornton, Kyle Williams, and Nick Nash. I think those three, I don't know which one. One of them are going to be really good. Like, you're going to find them on day 3, and one of them are going to be, well, I don't know about Kyle Williams because now there's a bunch of hype around him. But I think, for the
Yeah.
most part, you can find all 3 of them on day 3, and one of them's going to be a stud.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, somebody's gonna get in that
Yeah.
range, but Dante. I like. I mean, I hope people keep sleeping on him, but I feel like the more we talk him up, the more he's gonna go into the fifth, fourth, bracket. So in these things in these mocks, I'm gonna have to take him earlier. So
Yeah, no,
so yeah,
that's a really
I
good
see
one.
y'all.
That's exciting, too. I think any
Yeah, yeah,
guy that is that tall and runs that fast.
yeah. He's
It's
just
like it's
yeah,
almost like how Brian Thomas was last year, and he was a first rounder.
yeah, yeah.
Granted, obviously Dante
Hmm.
doesn't have the same production in that sense. He didn't come from LSU. I think people were a little down on Tennessee after the past few years, but
Yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah. And then Dante Thornton. That's my sleeper pick, and then Carson Vincent. I just threw him up there because he's like 6'7". He's like he's one of those guys.
elite name
He's like
too.
6'7". Yeah, he's like 6'7". 350. Like, how bad can he be? I know Makai Becton and stuff like that, but if he's what Makai Becton should have been, that's wonderful, right? So yeah, and he's
I
and
mean, in
he's
the 6th round, you
yeah,
kind of just taking flyers at that point. So, and if you're just even if he's just a decent backup, that's a win.
yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a win. Just to have somebody like that on the roster. So
Yeah,
you know, I'm cool. I'm cool with it. But yeah, no. We see y'all in the comments. Going back and forth. It's what is it? Yeah. Ninja got these people riled up
yeah,
in here.
he's got them stirred up over there.
Yeah, got them stirred up.
It's crazy because I'm like,
Look,
we're not even in the same division as the Steelers, yet everyone's going crazy right now.
and look, here you go. What if the Steelers get Tyler? He's first of all, he's not going to drop
Who's
that.
throwing to him?
Yeah, exactly. Who's the Steelers quarterback?
Mason Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph. There you go.
I'm not gonna lie, that would be such a shame to have George Pickens, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Warren just to have Mason Rudolph throwing to him.
Mason Rudolph. Hey, he wants Quinn Ewers, but
Oh, that's disgusting. That's disgusting.
yeah,
Honestly, you're better
he
off
wants,
trading for Joe Milton.
yeah, better off
I would
trading
do
for
that.
somebody that's already in the league.
Yeah. I'm not saying Joe Milton's gonna be great, but at least I think he gives you more potential than Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's
Mason's
he's gonna get hit in the helmet. That's funny.
What
Cause
are you
yeah,
talking about?
Miles Garrett stayed, and then what is it? Dak Prescott is about to be a Brown, about to be in Cleveland.
Dak Prescott's not gonna be no Brown. I call so much
I,
bull crap
I,
on that
saw, I
smoke.
saw that. I saw that, and I'm like,
No, I
wow.
see it a lot, but I call so much
Yeah,
bullshit. I do. Like
yeah,
the whole concept is that they're gonna go trade Dak to the Browns so that the Cowboys can get Shador. I think it all goes back to them eventually getting Dion.
yeah. See,
I call bullcrap.
that might be it. That might be
I
it.
call bullcrap. I call so much bullcrap. It's not gonna happen.
Wide
You said
receiver
why?
two.
Oh,
No. This JC asks what are we doing for wide receiver two. I mean, Tyler Warren
praying.
is a receiving. Yeah. I mean, we're praying, but Tyler Warren is a receiving threat, and I wouldn't mind if we're a run first team with a Lazard out there, or you know, like our wide receiver two doesn't have to be somebody with the hype of a Devontae Adams, in my opinion, right?
Yeah,
Like,
Alan Zarr could be
yeah,
wide receiver too.
yeah, like Garrett Wilson can, I want Garrett Wilson to be the guy, right? I don't want us to have a 1B. I really don't. I want us, and uh, I want Garrett to get his flowers this year. I'm not really worried about who the wide receiver two is going to be because, yeah, I mean Tyler Johnson, he can he can get you 600 yards. If somebody else can get you 500 yards, somebody else can get you 500 maybe. Then that's fine with me, right? As long as Garrett Wilson is getting his, I'm not really sure about, or I don't really care about, who else, what other receivers are, in the room, to be honest. But especially when I feel like we should be a ground and pound team with Justin Fields, Brees Hall, Brandon Allen. So yeah, you know, wide receiver two. I'm not too worried about our wide receiver two.
Yeah, honestly, I personally very much believe in that. You should have guys that excel in different things. Like I do. But one thing I didn't like about the Devontae pairing with Garrett was that they played very similar. Like they're both
Mhm.
guys that went off of their route running for the most part. I really do think this
Mhm.
offense would be, and even last year, the offense would have been a lot better had we gotten like a really speedy guy. Because I don't think we've had that. And I don't know when it was the last time we just had a guy. Oh, it was Robbie Anderson. Yeah,
Yeah,
last guy that.
yeah,
Yeah. But that's
yeah,
probably the best. Like in that, like in I don't know how long, but I think we'd really, really benefit from a guy, and it doesn't have to be a really good one, just someone that just threatens the defense in that way. Because
hmm
when you gotta have your safeties kind of take a couple steps back, because you don't know
yeah,
if someone can really just beat them over the top. Now it kind of opens up your entire offense because now your safeties are farther back, so you can run the ball a little bit easier. Brees can go pull some off a little bit. Uh, now you give Garrett more space to actually win his routes because you don't have safeties coming down so quickly.
yeah,
So yeah, no, I'm very much of a if we for me, get a tight end that kind of get those like contested catches, get a wide receiver that
yeah,
could just kind of take the top off the defense. That's how I would
hmm
look at it. That's how
yeah,
the
or
and that's how the Lions offense runs too. That's the last
yeah,
tidbit.
or a wide receiver that can, Lazard, he can block his ass off, right?
Yeah.
So, if our wide receiver two is making key blocks down the field for, our running game, that's a win for me, right? As
Mm-hmm.
long as we're getting some type of production out of that wide receiver two spot, it doesn't have to be nothing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I ain't gonna, I'm not really that worried about that, but yeah, no, appreciate that. Make sure y'all pound the like button, and subscribe to the channel if you already aren't. Yeah, it's gonna be a good a good draft season, and it's gonna be a lot of theories and with everything going on right now. But yeah, I feel like my mock 1.0 or our mock 1.0, I have the guy that I want. I feel like you're locked into him too. If we can trade back a couple spots and still draft him, that'd be even better. But
I
but yeah,
wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm locked in. I think I've
yeah,
been very consistent saying like I just think we need to definitely go offense. Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I don't exactly know which one we should do. I do definitely think the best thing we can do is trade back. We could trade back, still get a guy like either you get a guy like Tyler Warren or you get a guy like even Matthew Golden or even get a guy like I think you can still get like a Membu, Will Campbell, or Kelvin Banks somewhere in the teens of the draft.
hmm
But then you pick up a second rounder so that you can fill other needs. I think that would be just ideal for me. But
yeah,
I think you just gotta have to play it by ear. Maybe they really
yeah,
like a guy. I like.
hmm
I'm one of those. I'm gonna be very open minded to see what they do. I was looking at some past Detroit Lions drafts, and for the most part, the Lions were drafting some pretty good defensive players. So I don't know
hmm
how much Glenn had a hand. I assume he had a large hand in drafting some of those defensive players. So I'm curious to see how that translates over to our team, and then
Yeah.
you kind of see also from an offensive side, because I think that's really where it comes down to when you have a defensive coach. Is having a decent offense, because I think we've seen it. It's like these defensive coaches that come in, and sometimes they do. Like Salah came
Mhm.
in, he revamped that defense. We had a great
Yeah.
defense, but then our offense was poo poo. It was poo poo.
Yeah. Yeah. It was bad. It
I
was
got a
bad.
little nephew, but
It
like
was bad.
yeah, like it was terrible, man. So
Mhm.
I really do hope that they prioritize offense, given that especially even if you just look at the staff, we just have a lot more experience on the defensive side. I
Mhm.
would say help these offensive guys out that are relatively new to their position.
Yeah. And again, this is the first time in, a few years where we're bringing on a quarterback that we're not drafting, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's I feel like we're gonna see a big difference in how that looks, or how that feels, as well. So, uh, yeah, um, yeah. So it's gonna be a good something different to see. I see Kyle. I see Ninja in here on some foolish shit. Man, look, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need any help. Right. I've transitioned from delusional to a realist Jet fan. I'm still optimistic. Right. I'm still positive. But we, it's like I've seen this story and things and stuff before. After this, especially after these last 2 years, you know, you won't see me making any Super Bowl predictions anytime soon. Nah, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm known Kyle for size. I know Ninja size in seventh grade, man. So, he's. I've been in his house many times watching the Steelers in the Super Bowl, whatever. He just picked the best team at the time, and that was his team for forever. One of those, right? Not like us loyal ones, right? So, so yeah,
When's the last
it's
time the Steelers won a playoff game though? Technically, we're in the same boat.
who knows? Who knows? Who knows? He still thinks Big Ben is gonna run out of that locker room at some point. I feel like Troy. I'm sure he still has the Troy Polamalu fat head somewhere, right? It's somewhere. It's somewhere in the attic, right? But but yeah, no.
That's funny.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of. I mean, he's in here talking to a lot of Jet fans. So it's you know it's not just me. He's not just hearing it from me, right? He's not just hearing it from me now. So yeah, but yeah, you know, Steelers, y'all got some, y'all really about to, and also that Steelers Jets game this year is gonna be prime time, no matter
It's definitely gonna be prime
what it
time,
is.
especially if Rodgers does go to the Steelers.
Especially if Rodgers goes there, it's gonna be prime time in MetLife, and we're
Week
gonna get our
one.
get back. Yeah, yeah,
Week one.
yeah,
It's probably gonna be week
yeah. It might
one.
be week one. We might just, they might just get that out the way early. Um, but yeah, yeah, it's gonna be prime time for sure, especially if Rodgers is
Oh
there,
yeah,
and it's
actually,
gonna be
matter
in
of fact,
MetLife this time.
we need it to be week one, because otherwise they're gonna throw that TJ Watt excuse. Oh, he got hurt, like he does every year.
Oh yeah, see, yep. I don't want no excuses, no excuses. Y'all need a running back. Y'all
Left
don't let
field's
go
get
of
his get
Najee.
back.
Yeah. See, exactly. Y'all need, yeah, Rodgers. Sauce gonna lock DK down. Whoever's the other or Pickens, whoever Sauce isn't covering, they might have a good game. All right, I'll give you that. They might have a good game. Whoever Sauce isn't covering, but Sauce has had DK's number in the last few years, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, he said A Rod is gonna put up a 40 burger. I don't know. You might be right.
Honestly,
You
I can
might
see A Rod putting up a 40 burger and then just retiring after that. That's all I need to do.
be right.
Beat,
Funny for his life.
beat Flowers' record and everything, and just retire. Like, that's all I need to do. I just need to get my legs back.
No. We are going to. It's going to be funny watching Aaron Rodgers versus our defense because one, it's not going to be the same defense he's used to, right? It's gonna be a whole different, scheme and playbook, and he's gonna be like, what's going on? Like he's gonna think he
Yeah.
knows our defense, but it's gonna be fun for sure. And I think the real story behind that is gonna be Fields getting his get back. Like
Oh,
everybody's looking
but
at,
also Will
yeah,
McDonald get his to get back because don't forget the whole Broderick Jones, Will
yeah, yeah,
McDonald's
oh yeah,
beef that happened.
yeah.
He's probably gonna get like 3 sacks on Broderick Jones, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. And I don't know. I can't wait to see Fields versus the Steelers. That's gonna be good. That's gonna be really really good. I'm gonna love seeing that. But yeah. Closing thoughts.
I'll put money on it, by
We're
the way.
oh yes, no. I bet Kyle every year whenever the Jets play the Steelers. You know what I'm saying? It's up. Honestly, last year with the old Devontae thing, that was a fluke. All right, we had that
That was
game
definitely a
won.
fluke.
That was
Yeah,
a fluke. That was a
that was
fluke
definitely a
game.
fluke.
I didn't hear from Kyle the whole first half of that game, right? And then I didn't, yeah. And then second half he was all chatty, chatty patty, right? So yeah, it was really, that game was really bad. But hey, guess what? You have the guy who made that a fluke, or you're gonna get the guy that was
Yeah,
was our quarterback. So you'll see how it is. All right,
you'll see
you'll see
the
how it
real
is.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
Especially
yeah,
let that
yeah.
game be close. Let the game be close.
Oh yeah,
You'll
oh
see who
yeah.
the real Aaron Rodgers is.
Watch. Aaron Rodgers is gonna wave off Mike Tomlin, and you gonna feel the type of way about it. Mike Tomlin gonna be on the sideline, just with that face. All right, you
The
better not hope
random
it's
QB
cold.
sneak.
You better not hope it's a cold game either, because his lips gonna be chapped, and Rodgers gonna be looking at him like he crazy with whatever play he's just watch. I'm telling you, But I mean, I feel like he'll have a good season. Y'all might get to the playoffs, but you know, uh, you've been dealing with mobile quarterbacks in Pittsburgh these last few years, and it's like this year, eh, if you have Rodgers, it's not going to be that. It's not going to be that much of a mobility thing going on. So, yeah. I hope that offensive line is very good, and you have some good blocking running backs because because that's all that's going to be. All right, that's all that's going to be. Um, but yeah, yeah, no. I guess closing remarks. How you feeling? How you feeling going into this mock draft season, or this draft season, and going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that I hope there's not too many surprises. Like, I hope the surprises that we get are good. Because
Mhm.
we've seen like Moogie with the I don't know who makes the decisions at the Broncos. I didn't know who made decisions with the Lions, but they did make
Mhm.
some like they made some good choices, but they also made some really interesting choices. Like I still can't get over that like Jack Campbell in the first round a couple years ago, or even the Bo Nix last year. Like that one kind of threw me for a loop. But granted, they worked out, so you can't complain. But that's the
Mhm.
only thing that I'm a little worried about. If they are gonna make some surprises, trade back. That's all I ask for. If the guy's not
Yeah.
supposed to be taken till pick 20, just trade back. I won't be mad.
Right. Right.
But yeah, all that to say, I think it's going to be fun at the end of the day. We're gonna get a lot of young talent. I think we're gonna see a lot of again who our coaches are. We got a new head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. It allows for a lot of change to happen, not only just with the new guys that are coming in, but the guys that are already there. You might see a
Mhm.
lot of growth just in this next year. They kind of get a
Yeah.
fresh perspective. So I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah. Yeah. No, me too. Me too. I'm excited to go into this draft season, or this draft portion of the off season, just with a a mindset of competition, right? Um, we are. I feel like this staff that we brought together is very well rounded, very player centric, and it's not like we're like bringing in players that can mask the coaching, right? We're bringing in players um who is going to show us what type of coaching we really have, and that's that's always a that's something that we're really not used to, but I'm 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 glad to see it unfold. I'm excited to see what we do with these middle round picks, like what we do with them,
Facts.
because usually, I love Joe Douglas around draft time. Right, people hated Joe Douglas, but I loved him around draft time. Man, he was a good, swindler, maneuver of the board. Uh, so I'm excited to see what Muji has up his sleeve and the guys that he likes in this draft. Hopefully, we draft playmakers and we hit on some this year as well, in their first draft. So, uh, yeah, we definitely want to definitely going into this portion with an open mind and yeah, just I'm just ready. I'm ready for the training camps and seeing guys and the hate. I'm ready for the hate too, because even if we don't, even if we have the lowest of expectations, people are going to hate on the Jets. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's low hanging fruit, but it's like, all right, we'll see. But but yeah,
Real
what you
quick,
say?
before we
Yeah.
go off, he said Brent Allen need to do a Jets trivia to see who the biggest fan is. I think that'll be pretty
Oh,
funny, actually.
yeah, that'd be crazy. We no like we were talking about like like the TikToks and things like that,
Yeah,
like the different like theme videos. No, honestly, we should like try to set up like a show or something where it's just like a trivia for like people in the comments and stuff like that too.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's what I was
like,
thinking.
like if you
Like
ask or
throw up a question, let the comments kind of answer it.
yeah, let the comments answer
The only
it,
thing
and
is, I
then
feel like people will be cheating.
yeah, I mean, we'll give him a
I know
timer.
Ninja a cheater.
Yeah, yeah, no, he's definitely gonna cheat. He can come here, he can come here and say Troy Polamalu for every answer. Look at look at E.
Bro, who hurt you, bro?
I don't know, man. He's been on. I think I feel like he's on this like he's on this heartbreak tour because of last year, man. And look, I feel it, man. I feel you. Like after last year, I was just done. I was just like, all right, whatever happens in the future happens, bro. I ain't finna do nothing else. I ain't finna, I ain't, I ain't, I ain't finna have no more big expectations. But yeah, yeah, nah. Appreciate y'all rocking with us though this week. Next week, it's gonna be the same draft series again. We're gonna talk about who we like. Maybe we'll we'll try to have some people on see who people might like to see us draft as well. So, but yeah, appreciate y'all rocking with us this week. Y'all have a good night. We'll see y'all next week.
See ya.